Last time, I covered something that had brilliant production values. And the artwork, animation, character designs, mechanical designs, and sound design. It wasn't just a lot of flashy visuals and sounds, though. It wasn't even just a melange of pop culture references. It had solid goals, various independent storylines, and a compelling central narrative. The production values were all in the service of narrative and emotional texture. Today's subject, well, it has great production values. That's about it. A 13-episode OVA from 1991 to 1992, Gundam 0083 Stardust Memories sets out to bridge the gap between the original Gundam TV series and its sequel, Zeta Gundam. Essentially, it tells the story of how the Earth Federal Forces came to establish the fascist Titans Force that would terrorize the colonies on behalf of the Earth Elite, as a reaction to an event brought on by Zeon remnants. The year is Universal Century 0083, and 2 new Gundam mobile suits are being transported via the new Pegasus-Class ship Albion to the Australian Torrington base for testing. One of them, the GP-02A, Physalis, is actually armed with a nuclear weapon, so you would expect extra tight security standards, maybe a code to activate the EMS to avoid... No, this is Gundam. Some dude just sneaks into the base and steals it like it was Misty's bike in the first episode of Pokemon. The Zeon remnants, the Delaz Fleet, have sent an ace pilot Annabelle Gato to abscond with a nuclear-armed Gundam in a plan to revive the glory of the Principality of Zeon. In hindsight, they needn't have bothered sending a talent out to steal it, since apparently any fucking rube can just waltz into the base and do it. I mean, I know that's common in Gundam, but usually it's in some kind of chaos, and most MS aren't armed with nukes. Just some basic armed guards in the hangar would have stopped all this pretty quickly. Or, a password protection. The Federation is nothing if not consistently incompetent. So anyway, test pilot Kou Uraki hops into the other Gundam, and after utterly failing to even put a scare into Gato, joins the Albion crew with his pal Keith and SO South Burning to pursue Gato and retrieve the Unit 2 before the Delaz Fleet can use it. Spoilers! He fails! At everything! Does he succeed in preventing Gato from leaving the base with Unit 2? Nope! Does he succeed in preventing Gato from getting into space with it? Nope! Does he succeed in stopping Gato's attack at Solomon? Nope! Does he succeed at... Well, let's just face it, folks. Our main hero is pretty much a total failure at everything. Ooh, except at going AWOL and directly aiding and abetting the enemy by helping them construct the Zeon mobile armor that said enemy turns around and uses to attack the Albion. Because... men's duty or something. And he gets smacked around more than Amuro Ray ever did. I mean, shit! Look at this tool! When he's not running away, he's getting his ass kicked. And he's such a complainer.
Is it true, Nina?
Ensign Uraki, I have had it up to here with your arrogance. Anyone can clearly see that Lieutenant Mancha has far more experience than you do, as well as the skill to prove it. The Gundam isn't a toy. It isn't there for you to pilot around just when you feel like playing.
Enough! Hey, what? I don't believe this!
For fuck's sake. At least Shinji Ikari in Evangelion was an emotionally fragile 14-year-old being manipulated by all the adults around him. Kou Uraki is a grown man who chose to be a pilot. But storming off in tears is a regular thing for him. The masturbatory self-pity makes you almost sympathize with professional asshole Bernard Mancha, one of Lieutenant Burning's old subordinates, a giant lech who regularly mocks the one guy on the team who can actually fight Gato. Sometimes. At least Mancha can be fun now and then, even if he is a shit stain.
Like a rose in fullest bloom.
Excuse me, can I help you?
Lieutenant J.G. Bernard Mancha, my dear. Stationed here only today, and it's a pleasure to meet you. And your name is?
My name is Nina Purpleton. The three of you must be pilots. And you're here to see Unit 1, right?
No, I only have eyes for you.
And as if Kou weren't bad enough, they had to pair him with one of the least likable female leads in the whole franchise, Nina Purpleton. Nina Purpleton. Wishy-washy, moody, snooty, and just plain unstable. She's an insufferable head case who expects everyone to just read her every mood and indulge her. And she presents herself as so proper and professional, but she clearly shouldn't be anywhere near mobile suits or pilots, because she's a traitorous harpy not fit to polish a beam saber. You know what? You know who Nina is? Nina is Shelley Long as Diane Chambers from Cheers.
Talk about it later.
No, we won't talk about this later. I don't want you to do that stuff in here.
I'm going to do it anyway.
Well, at least she cleared it with me first.
I'd sooner saw off my own dick than spend a minute more addressing this condescending dope. But apparently she and Kou take a liking to each other. Good. These two failures deserve each other. I hope one of the rock's shard drops on the earth hits them directly, and only them. They sicken me. If the Fetties have any characters that don't make me want to vomit out my own stomach, it's probably the old men on the Albion, Captain Synapse and Lieutenant Burning. They're the authority on the ship, but they're usually very reasonable, even compassionate officers. You can tell that Burning was probably a bit more rambunctious in his earlier days, and finds his own position a bit difficult as it means being more responsible than fun. Synapse, for his part, is acting as rationally and cool-headed as he can under the pressure he's getting from above, and is a likable fellow overall. On the Zeon side of things, Anaval Gato was a damn good pilot and he cuts a striking figure, but he's kind of bland overall. Maybe it's because he's mindlessly committed to the ideals of Giranzabi, a genocidal maniac. Though, honestly, Gato doesn't even really parrot Giran's supremacist ideology. Maybe to Gato, Giran was just an authority he respected for his charisma and forcefulness, which is why he was so angry when he learned of his demise at the final battle of the 1-year war. Gato was always on about honor and avenging his comrades from the Battle of Solomon, but if they're gonna retcon him as a participant in that, how did he escape the Federation's solar system weapon or Amuro Ray's just butchering of everyone in his way? It was a complete rout. I don't see how he could have been the Nightmare of Solomon, seeing as how the Nightmare at Solomon would have been that 16-year-old half-fro sporting paranoid in the candy-colored mobile suit. I don't know, I'm just not very impressed with Gato. Sure, he's great to see in action, but his character just comes off as robotic. And the pathos they try to imbue him with the survivor's guilt, doesn't ring true to me. He lacks the charm of Shar Aznable and even the pitiable self-sabotage of Jared Mesa. I honestly don't care whether Kou defeats this guy, because he's basically just fighting the mobile suits Gato's in, and not him. But at least Gato can talk the talk.
We're in the middle of a battle here and you start giving speeches!
You're a soldier here, aren't you? If you want to be more than just a grunt, you better learn to see the whole picture.
Yes, sir.
I'm the enemy, you idiot!
I think the only Zeon character in this that I find compelling, probably my favorite character in the OVA, is Shima Gadahao, the outcast Zeon space pirate with an axe to grind with the Zeon leadership. Delaz has incorporated her team into his forces, but naturally neither he nor Gato really trust her. They're right to question her loyalty, because while she's willing to do a lot of dirty work for the goals of Operation Stardust, she's also prepared to betray the Delaz Fleet in a plot with the Federation. However, Kou, being a complete fucking simpleton, ignores the orders to cooperate with Shima against Delaz's forces, and instead engages her in combat and, well, it's quicker to just say he's a moron. Because he is. And Shima, while kind of a treacherous witch, has all the presence and bombast lacking in most of the characters in this heap. Her backstory was detailed in the May 5 space short. I say Shima Gadahao did nothing wrong. Changed my mind.
This is how I've been able to live! Those people living safe and snug inside 3 just took advantage of me! If I have good reason, I'll switch sides.
You have to stop in awe to absorb the utter stupidity of the Earth Federation in this OVA. It's one thing to be corrupt, but this is just ridiculous. A guy steals a nuclear-armed mobile suit from them, and they decide that it's a good time to hold a naval review? Yeah, just cluster together all your spaceships in one place. That's great, really smart, that'll show them. Why not just tattoo bullseyes on your asses and moon him as he approaches? Fucking imbeciles. If that wasn't enough, after getting utterly beaten and humiliated by a single mobile suit, then they try to bar the Albion crew from obtaining the last remaining Gundam that could be used to defeat Gato and stop a colony drop. Sure, one mobile suit probably can't single-handedly save the day, but every little bit of effort helps. It's almost like they don't want to stop the... Oh yeah, the OVA is trying to set up the founding of the Titans, so it absolutely is on purpose. And even more idiotic for being so. In Zeta Gundam, we're not given a whole lot of information about why and how the Titans were formed, except that clearly the Federation got really paranoid about colony rebellions and new types after the war, so they ceded authority in space to a bunch of authoritarian bastards. It was easy so long as they could stay in relative comfort on Earth and not give a shit about the colonists. Stardust memory is supposed to lead to these things, but even if this is all a conspiracy to establish an authoritarian reign, it's really overdoing it. Planning on letting yourself get nuked and also having your food source decimated by a colony drop just so you could bully the colonists is basically like cutting your hands off so they won't get cold in the winter. Just wear gloves, stupid!
At maximum speed, they'll contact the enemy before the colony hits. We'll destroy them, ignite the colony's maneuvering propellant, and foil their entire plan.
Well. So much for our pirate extermination problem.
Still, I don't understand. Gentlemen, why in the world would they decide not to use the propellant in the initial colony jacking? Why make the colonies collide instead?
Heh, simply because they didn't have the energy to light it up.
There's nothing like having the skies quiet.
The Zeon aren't much smarter in this story. Delaz's big speech about how the Federation sucks revolves around their building of a nuclear-armed Gundam, which violates the treaty the Feds and Zeke signed during the war. But stupid! The treaty is null and void with the war over and the now Republic of Zeon surrendered. And anyway, Colonel Makuve violated the rule during the Battle of Odessa when he launched a fucking hydrogen bomb. The Federation is well within its rights to start using nukes extensively after having been threatened with giant space lasers and colony drops. I mean, it's good that they're hesitant to, but you don't get to bitch about this either way. What else would I expect from a follower of Girin Adolf Hitler was right Zabi, though? Even his own father thought he was a monster. While we're at it, what did they plan to accomplish by slamming another colony into Earth? The supposed goal of the Zeon was freedom for the colonists, but how was sending a colony crashing into the planet going to help them obtain that? Practically the entire fleet gets annihilated at the end, and the Axis Zeon don't even bother to act until years later. Delaz turns out to be nothing but a bitter dumbass who accomplished literally nothing. Haman Karn would have been catapulted by her own ego back to the Earth sphere regardless. All that Delaz's fleet managed to accomplish in the end is to starve some people and actually fuck over the other colonists by giving the feds a reason to crack down on them. Great planning, you idiots. Nice writing, Sunrise. Does everybody in this have to be such a simpleton? And it's so excessive to have both the Naval Review attack and the colony drop as a plot. If they had plotted this better, either one would have made a decent conclusion, but no, they got greedy. Damn, this is stupid! One of the bigger carbuncles on this OVA is the truly baffling revelation that Nina was once involved romantically with Gato at some point before these events. And yet somehow she couldn't recognize the Zeon soldier who boinked her as he was stealing a Gundam right in front of her. You know, it's almost like this plot point came out of nowhere and had nothing to do with the original plan for the show. Considering it was added after a change in director, it's not too surprising. But it is nevertheless terrible. Because that's what this story needed. A love triangle! Especially when it eats up the time that could be better used developing other characters. In fact, the series takes a marked plunge into madness in episode 11, from which it never returns. Not that it was preceded by brilliance. The last episodes depict the characters at their absolute dumbest and a mad dash to establish the events of Zeta Gundam.
It is very clear that if we surround them too tightly, they'll fight to the death.
I wasn't asking you. Admiral, what is wrong with you? What I mean, Admiral, is you must do something about this situation. You have to send the Earth orbital fleet to the front at once. Huh? Chemetov, you son of a bitch. Listen to me. We have no time for any obscure plans. We have to attack. Huh? What are you doing?
And in the end, what does it get us? Characters I couldn't imagine a world in which I might even pretend to care about, living their idiotic lives and failing miserably at everything. If it was a comedy, sure, that would be entertaining. Comedy comes from failure. But this isn't a comedy. I get exhausted watching the efforts of our so-called heroes be utter wastes. Not because I care about them, but because I'm watching them, and I want to at least be entertained. You still gotta love Shima, though. Frankly, the only thing Stardust Memory has going for it is its stellar production values. It looks better than most entries in the franchise. The character designs and the way they're animated to be expressive but not too exaggerated, with thought to movement and weight, the ornate mechanical design and the action of the mobile suits feeling tense and furious, the beam and missile animation, the elaborate set pieces and costume design, and music. It's all noteworthy. If nothing else, this OVA is a feast for the senses. Well, a few of them. Modern Gundam entries don't look and feel as well constructed as the production elements in this. Even something like Gundam the Origin is pretty lacking in comparison. 0083 was traditional animation doing more with its old style than its later successors did with the new style. It's just too bad the story and characters sucked. Sorry, Sunrise, but trying to tack on a happy ending just infuriates me more. I'd hoped Kou would be one of the Titan pilots that Camille Bidan wastes like he was nothing. That would have been the happiest ending of all. So, yeah, Stardust Memory is terrible. It is gorgeous garbage, but garbage nevertheless. I don't have much more Gundam I can cover at this point, since most of the franchise consists of entries that are way too long to bother reviewing. But the ones that I can look at will have to wait. After this one, I need a bit of a Gundam break. Well, that wraps up Otaku Evolution for now. Until next time, see ya!
Commander, it's safe now, all clear. Lacks security, isn't it?